Hello and welcome to the Loop and Bar podcast, episode number 3. Kate and the creaky chair are back. Still haven't done anything about it. I think it's just a feature of the podcast now. Kate and the creaky chair. So as you've gathered, my name's Kate, if you don't already know that. And I'm coming to you from North Wales in the UK. And yeah, this is my 3rd episode of my podcast, my knitting and crochet and a little bit of sewing podcast. So a big hello to anybody who's joined me today for a little chat and just to see what I've been up to. Thank you very much if you've returned, because I've been having some really lovely messages on Ravelry, a few comments on the YouTube podcast, the bit where you can comment, and a couple of people have been over to the blog as well and had a look, because I'm still keeping up the blog. So I just want to say thank you very much if you have been over to say hello and if you've made any comments on my podcast, because it's been really lovely to hear from people who have watched the podcast, and everybody who's commented is so friendly, and it's what every podcaster, knitting, because I only watch knitting podcasts, but every podcast that I watch, when they talk about the feedback that they get, it's all positive, and we're all just so friendly, aren't we? I think knitters, crocheters, sewers, we're friendly people, and it's so lovely to be part of that and to be interacting and to have people come and say hello and interact with you. So it's very exciting to know that people are enjoying seeing what I'm doing, because that's the whole point. It's sharing our stuff, and yeah. So great. So thank you so much if you've been to say hello. It's really made my week. It's been very exciting. And Melody, thank you for my shout out on your podcast. That was extremely exciting, very exciting, and really kind of you, very sweet of you to mention my podcast. So thank you very much. I've had a few visitors who've been to see my podcast because of that mention. So big thank you to Melody for that. So a little bit about what I've been doing since my last podcast, in terms of a bit about Wales, what I've been doing in Wales. How long is it since I've podcasted? A week and a half? Is it 2? Might be 2, because actually last weekend my friend was here. So that was lovely. My friend Emily and her little boy Jacob, who's not little, he's actually kind of about this tall, maybe even that, and he's 11. So he's not so little. But they visited for the weekend, and that was brilliant because Emily is a knitter. And so we got to do lots of lovely sitting in here and knitting. And Jacob joined us for a lot of the time and sat at the desk as well with his drawing. He likes to draw, he's very creative. And also the exciting Harry Potter Trivial Pursuit game was played. And we didn't do as badly as I thought we would. Having said that, me and Emily paired up together against Jacob. We still lost, he still won the game. And I think what saved us was that we watched one of the Harry Potter films the night before. Jacob brought his box set with him, so we chose one of the films. It was the second to last one. I was a bit kind of, shall I watch it? Because I'm rereading the books, but I thought, yes, Kate, you need this if you're going to play the Harry Potter Trivial Pursuit game. you need to watch one of the films. And thankfully, some of the questions came up from that film, so I think that saved me and Emily a little bit from not getting anything right at all. So that was lots and lots of fun. And we spent one day out and about in Wales. We went to a place called Llangefni, which is about half an hour's drive from here. It's very close to where Avion, who I live with, where he comes from originally. And Emily is an arborist, so a tree surgeon. And she has this book. It was given to her by her mum for Christmas, telling her all about various trees around Great Britain of importance. So I don't know, historical importance, or haven't really read it, but trees that are important. How else can I put that? I can't. Anyway, trees of interest. So I think what she wants to do is kind of work her way around the book, through the book, visiting all these different trees, because she loves trees. And one tree that I told her about, not far from here, in Llanganu, wasn't in her book. So we decided to visit that one because it was close, and I'd seen it on the TV not long ago, actually. And this particular tree is, I think it's a yew tree, and it's something like 4,000 years old. There's a carved stone with a sort of plaque telling you a little bit about it. And it's believed to be at least 4,000 years old, and one of the oldest living things in the world. Can you believe that? So we drove out to just have a look at it, and it's in a really pretty little churchyard in this village. And then we had a little walk along the river as well. Jacob loved to be out and about walking, and he likes going into the woodlands or into the countryside, and we do too. So we had a lovely day, a lovely morning doing that. And then I had been told a couple of times by Avion's mum about a new wool shop that's opened up in a nearby town, and she's been in a couple of times, and I think she's really keen for me to go and have a look. So I was really keen to go and have a look. So Emily, being a knitter too, we persuaded Jacob. We sort of bribed him by saying we could find some shops that he might like to. So to go into this town and have a look in this wool shop. So we had to endure about half an hour of retro vault video games and looking at Star Wars and Halo figures and pretending to be interested in that, which lasted about 5 minutes for me actually, but we stayed in there for quite a while and let Jacob indulge in that sort of bit of time in the bank for us for the wool shop, you see. So then we went off to find this wool shop, and it wasn't quite what I was expecting. I was expecting just to go in and there's walls to be stocked up with different yarns that we could browse and buy. So we were both kind of geared up to go and basically buy a load of wool that we hadn't planned or didn't know what we would do with. But what it really was more of a sort of a workshop space showroom. It does sell yarn, and I will be going back, but it's more all about hand spinning, which was really exciting because that is something that I want to have a go at. I've had a little go at a drop spindle in the past. It wasn't really a proper one, so I don't think I had the right equipment. It was a handmade one. Looking back, that probably didn't work, and I really want to have a go on a spinning wheel. So having a conversation with this lady, we were watching her spinning. There were 3 ladies in there spinning yarn, and she was getting ready for, I've forgotten the name of the festival. There's a festival on, or has been, over the weekend in Wales, where on the Royal Welsh Showground. What's the festival? Probably loads of people know. You might have been to it. Anyway, she was getting stock ready for that. She was busy spinning up hand spun yarn for that. So I got to see some of the stuff that she makes and sells, but none of it was available to buy at the time because she had to use all of her stock for the festival she was going to do. So, but what I did do is I picked up a leaflet. Haven't got it with me now, but she does one-to-one spinning lessons, and it's what did she say it was? £30 for 2 hours, I think, which I think is a bargain. I think that's brilliant. One-to-one tutorial. So I'm going to ring that lady and book myself a one-to-one spinning lesson. Really excited about that. when I do that, and closer to the time, or when I've been on that, I'll give you more information about the lady, and yeah, tell you a bit more about that. So that's very exciting, something to look forward to. So that's lovely. Me and Emily and Jacob spent a really nice day just having a look at some of the things locally. Came back home, baked some cookies, did some knitting, watched a Harry Potter film, did some more knitting. Yeah, had a lovely catch up. So that was my last weekend. Poor Avion was working. He only gets every other weekend off. He works 1 weekend on, 1 weekend off, and all through the week. So that's 12 days. 12 days in a row, then 2 days off. Oh, poor Avion, it's hard work being a farmer. So he wasn't able to join us for any of that. But I'm sure he probably wouldn't really have enjoyed retrovault and spinning. I think he would have probably preferred to be maybe at home watching the cricket on the telly. Or chopping wood. That's one of his favourite things to do at the weekend. Yeah, he likes to chop wood for our fire, so that's fine. That's all right. And the weekend just gone, me and Avion had the weekend off, so me and him went out just into our local area, and we found a really nice walk that we didn't know existed. There's a pub down the road, and behind the pub there is the start of a public footpath walk. But we just didn't know where it led to, and we ended up going up kind of halfway between a mountain and a hill, and he was really pleased with it. I was too. I really enjoyed it, but I think he's been looking at that hill and saying, I want to go to the top of that. And I've been looking at it going, I don't think you can. I don't think that's a walk. That's just a great big rocky hill. That's not for walking up. But we did. We ended up on top of that hill somehow. He led the way, and yes, we did the walk. And we got to see lots of really lovely views. We could see our farm. And we found a new road that we didn't know existed that runs right alongside the road that I drive to work on, which could be a potential route for me to cycle to work. Because at the moment I can't cycle to work. It's too dangerous on the road. For me, it's too dangerous. I think I daren't go on that particular road on my bicycle. But now they've discovered there's another road that runs kind of alongside it, but there's a forest in between. We drove down that on the way home, and that's a possible way for me to actually start biking to work. So that's exciting as well. I need to get my bike fixed and then go on a little bike ride and check it out. What else? Oh yeah, before I start, I'll get into showing you some knitting in a minute, because this has just been talking so far for 13 minutes. Very exciting. One thing I really love to do out in the garden is look out for the birds, the garden birds. And before I moved to Wales, I'd never seen a redstart, and now I see them every year. They're migratory birds, but do you know what? I don't know where they come from. I will look that up later. I'm going to look that up later, and I'm going to put it here. Because I'm not sure even what time of year they leave Britain. I should have made a note of that. I'm not very good at making diaries and things. I just like watching them. But this week, the redstarts arrived back from wherever they've been. The male, anyway. I haven't spotted the female yet. I'm proud. I'm really proud that I can actually identify the bird and the male and the female. That's about as much knowledge as I've got, really, apart from the fact that I know that they come and go seasonally, annually. So I saw the male redstart and in his favourite spot. So for 3 years running, usually the first time I see him is on the garden fence post, just near my vegetable patch. And he's so distinctive, and his colours are really bright, and he just stands out. And I know their call as well, so I'm listening out for when he starts calling to the female, because they tend to perch at different positions around the garden. We've got a really big garden, and call to each other. So I'm watching out for that. And I'm waiting for it to get warm enough for me to sit out in the garden and just observe them for a little while so I can find out where they're nesting or where he's thinking of building the nest. So that was very exciting. And Avion, this week, I haven't heard it yet, but Avion has heard the cuckoo. So that means that spring is here, which is very nice. Licorice tea. This is a mug that my sister got me. And I've forgotten the name of the potter. She's a local potter, so I'll find out and I'll put it here. But it's really cute. It's just got little flowers on both sides. Beautiful. So that was my week in Wales. Apart from that, I've just been at work as normal and really busy in here. Been doing quite a lot. Quite a lot's been happening. So let me just have a look at my notes. Yeah. I've got quite a bit to share, so I'll finish my tea so I'm not holding onto the mug. And I think the first thing I'm going to show you is, what does it say on my list? A past finished object. I actually meant to share a past finished object on my last podcast, but I just talked for so long that I didn't. I thought I left it out. You might have seen it behind me and wondered what it was there for, but and actually this week it's a different one. It's the same, along the same lines. Okay, that's the tea finished. Right, so the past finished object is a blanket. It's a crochet blanket, and I think I did it last year. On the Loop and Bar blog, there's quite a lot about this blanket over various posts. I think if you look in the October archive, it might be in there. I'm not sure. Anyway, if you look on the blog, you might be able to find it. But I'll just show you it. I might stand. Oh no, I'll show you it up close first. On my creaky chair. Oh, it's so squishy. It's really cozy. Now it's gone a bit bobbly because it's had a lot of use. This blanket. It sits on the sofa. There we go. You can get an idea for that, can't you? The whole thing's made up of basically these granny squares, which are what's it called? The Sunburst. Is it called the Sunburst granny square? On Ravelry. There's a few different versions of it, I think. There's details on the blog about it as well, but I'll put them on here too, and in the show notes. But yeah, made up of. And what I did is I took. Is that 3 colours in there? 1. Yeah, it's made of red, orange, and pink. These are quite bright colours by my standards, actually, because normally I go for quite a muted palette of colours, quite neutrally sort of colours. But I had some. This yarn, the bright coloured yarn, is Wonderwool Fusion. I mentioned it in my last podcast. This yarn. And I bought loads of it years ago, and it's discontinued now. You can't buy it in the shops anymore. And it was crocheted into these squares, not these squares, into some other squares. But I just decided to remake it into this blanket. So I've alternated the colours a little bit. And then the outside, the border colour, the grey, is by Lang Yarns. Now I don't know how to say this. Is it Carpe Diem or Carpe Diem? It's the Latin, isn't it, for seize the day. That's what the yarn's called anyway. I can't remember what the colourway was. I haven't got the tag anymore because it's last year that I made this, but it's really squishy. Oh, it's so soft and squishy. It's just gorgeous. I'm going to go over there and hold it up and see if you can see. I'll just get it the right way around and see if you can see the whole thing. Let's see if it works. But anyway, you get to see how big it is. a sort of impression for how big it is. Shall I hold it up here too? You can see the light through it now. There we go. That's a past object. Yeah, like I say, it's crochet, this one, not knitted. So it's the Sunburst Granny Square with crochet flat join. Do you know what? I can't remember the terms now because it's such a long time since I've done it, and I've just been knitting and knitting for the last few months, so I've forgotten all my crochet talk. Have a look on the blog, there's some more details there, but I just wanted to share a past object, finished object with you because I've got loads. I've been knitting and crocheting for quite a long time, so it would be a shame not to show you a few of the things that I've got around the house that I've made for myself. Okay, so yeah, squishy blanket. That's been really good over the winter. Avion has this on. I put this on Avion when he falls asleep on the sofa, which happens quite often. Yeah, so that's my past finished object. What next? Okay, whips. Works in progress. I'm going to show you those. Do you know what? There's only one. There's only one. It's there. It's hanging behind me. I'm gonna have to get up and go and get it. So, don't know if you remember from last week. If you saw last week's podcast, you might not have done. But I'm remaking a crochet rug, and it was made out of. Oh, I'll grab this because I can show you a close up of the sort of the yarn that it was made of, and that it's going to be remade in. So. There's one strip, that's the sort of mustardy and white herringbony colour. It's really big yarn by Ingrid Wagner. That's where I bought it from, at the Knitting and Stitching Show, but you can get it from her website. I won't say too much about that again because I've talked a lot about it in the last podcast, but yeah, Big Wool by Ingrid Wagner. If you want more information, you can just maybe scroll through the last podcast or look on the show notes for episode 2, because I've put a link to her website on there. And I have spent the whole week pulling apart the crochet. It was a round rug, and I'd crocheted it in stripes, so a blue and then a pink, then a yellow, then a blue, then a pink, then a yellow. But I decided that was just too busy for me, and I wanted to arrange the colours differently, just in blocks. And I wanted to make it a rectangle because I think that it will fit in my house a lot better. I can think of many more places where I'll put the rug and use it. It wasn't getting enough use, and I think that's because of its shape and because of how I decided to make it. So, this is what I've done. That's a bit stuck on. Okay, I spent the week pulling apart the rug and ironing each strip of yarn. Where are my crinkly bits? They were really crumpled. I can't find any to show you, but they were really, really crumpled. But that is a lot of big wool, and it's really soft actually, it's lovely. And there's a lot of it. So that's the yarn, I'll just lay it there. And my plan is, before I re-crochet it, this is something that I just kind of decided on while I was ironing the yarn. After I'd unpicked it, it was really crumply like this. So I've managed to iron it nice and flat, so it's ready. But also, maybe every metre or so, it had string in it like that. This one's still attached, so I can show you that one. So I don't know quite why. I'm not sure why, but it had so it had like quite a long bit of string, just like that, kind of attaching the lengths of the various colourways. And originally, when I'd made the round crochet rug, was it laziness? I don't think I knew really what to do with this bit, so I just basically crocheted it in, and so my rug had lots of like white woolly loops kind of hanging out, or little bits where it was thin because it wasn't really the yarn that I'd used. A stitch was made of that sort of stringy stuff, and that really bugged me actually. That did really get on my nerves. So what I've decided to do, actually I had one, but it's in that pile. So I don't think I can show you it. Where's the one I've done? Should be on top somewhere. Where are you? Aha, here it is. So what I've decided is actually going to make this project take a little bit longer, but I think it will be better for it. And I've tried on one. I'm going to stitch, I've done it on the sewing machine, just like that. It don't have to be neat, because it's all going to be crocheted in, but I've chopped all of the stringy bits out. That's technical, isn't it? I've chopped all the stringy bits out. Well, I have. And I'm sewing the lengths together just with a zigzag, a couple of lines of zigzag on the sewing machine, which will be quite a nice job to do. I was going to say while listening to a podcast, but actually I won't be able to listen to a podcast because the sewing machine's quite noisy. I'll just have to do that with a cup of tea one evening. Maybe with some loud music on or something. No, I don't do loud music. I don't know why I said that. I'll just have a cup of tea and just sit and get through it. There's a lot of sewing, there's a lot of stitching there because it's little bits, you know, there's a lot of little bit of sewing, a lot of chopping. But each colour will just be one long strand of this. Are we going to call it yarn? Is it yarn? It's basically strips of woolen fabric, isn't it? Big wool. And then I can start crocheting it. So I'm thinking that it was nice to show you it in that stage because you can see what the kind of middle stage of what it's going to become. And then hopefully by the next podcast I can show you the finished object. So I'm looking forward to having that done. So that's the only work in progress at the moment because I showed you a hat last week or the week before and I haven't done anything on that. It was the week before. That's awful. I haven't worked on that hat at all because I've been busy with some other things. But I am still working on the hat. So the next time I show you that, it will be finished. Maybe I'll do it for the next podcast. Yeah. The jumper, I've probably done about that much of a sleeve, down to about there, of one sleeve. I've had to do it twice because I put the stitches on for the sleeve, I knitted down so far, I put the jumper on, it wasn't right, and I realised I needed a few more stitches, and you know when you add stitches in under the arm here, I realised that I hadn't put enough there and I'd made the arm too skinny and it just didn't feel right or look right, so I unpicked it and added a few more stitches in. So once again with that jumper, it seems to be a theme for the moss green jumper. I keep having to re-knit every section that I do about 4 times. It will eventually get done. So, like I said in the last podcast, the next time I show you it, it will be finished. What else is a whip that I haven't done anything on? Oh, yes, the Woodland Tales mitts. I'm going to show you those in a minute because the one pair is finished, so that's the finished object. But the purple ones are still a whip, and I'll show you those when they're finished because yeah, I've already shown you the yellow ones in progress. So I'll just show you the purple pair when they're done, and you're going to see the yellow ones in a second. I think is that everything for the works in progress? Because a few things I spoke about last week are now finished objects. So I'll just start showing you those now. Right, get ready for this because this is really, really cute. I think it is anyway. Right, very exciting. My sister is having a baby. Don't know if I said that already on the podcast last week. Anyway, she was due 2 days ago. So there's a little baby about to be born any day and it's very, very exciting. She's already got a little girl, Evie, who's 4, who's finished object I'm going to also show you in a minute. So this is her second baby, and he is a little boy. I was going to say he's going to be a little boy, but he's already a little boy, isn't he? He's a little boy. And Auntie Kate's made him a cardigan. Right, okay, get ready for this, because it's super cute and it's finished. Oh, the chair made a really massive creak then. Oh my god, how cute is that? I'll put it closer. It's actually quite hard to show you. Oh, there we are. It's a side opening cardigan. It unbuttons. Whoops. It unbuttons. Oh, can I do this? All the way down, so the whole thing opens. I'll maybe do it while I'm talking. And it's a free pattern from Ravelry. It's the, hang on, I wrote it down. It's, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Puerperium cardigan. I think Puerperium is a word to describe the first few weeks of a baby's age, is it? Life stage? I think that's what it said on the pattern anyway. So it's the Puerperium cardigan by Brooker, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. So thank you, Brooker. Very much appreciated. It's a really lovely little pattern. So here we are. I've undone the buttons, so it opens all the way out like that. And I think it says in the pattern design, it's designed for new parents to be able to dress their baby easily, hence the full opening at the front. Not that she's a new parent, she's had practice on her little girl already, but you know, I'm sure anybody with a newborn baby and a 4-year-old appreciates something they can just put on the baby quite easily. And I've knitted it in. I haven't got the label, but I'll tell you about the yarn. I have got the label actually, but I've written our Wi-Fi password on it. I'll show you it. It doesn't really matter, does it? It's got some scribbles on it. Doesn't show up very well on the computer though, because it's really pale writing. But it's Sirdar Snuggly Baby Speckle, and it's cotton blend with acrylic. Normally I stick to really natural fibres, but basically I got a bit excited, wanted to knit a baby cardie, went to my local wool shop after I'd done the shopping. It's really convenient, my wool shop's just near the co-op, so I can just pop in there anytime I want. And chose something off the shelf, because a lot of the time I do buy yarn off the internet, and I do like to make a point every so often of going into the yarn shop and just seeing what they've got in there and purchasing yarn from the yarn shop as well. So I did that with this yarn and with another yarn that I'll show you in a little while. And it's turned out to be really, really, really lovely yarn. It's really soft. Anna can just throw it in the washing machine at 40 degrees. So even if it gets lumped in with a load of other washing by accident, it won't matter. If she washes her stuff at 40 degrees, it's not going to shrink. And you need that probably, don't you, when you've got a new baby, just to be able to wash things. And don't know if you can tumble dry it, but does it say? Yeah, I think you can tumble dry it as well. Yeah, so that's very handy for her. So that's the yarn. I've caked it up. It comes in a ball, but I've caked it up because I cake everything, and everything I can get my hands on. So I bought 2 balls, and I used, so I think it's 50 grams. Yeah, there's 50 grams in one ball. And for this little tiny cutie cardigan, I used only just over one ball. I think you could have got away with 1, but I used slightly larger needles because I'm not sure why. I thought that I was using the right size needle, then I checked and it was half a size bigger, but that's okay because it'll fit the baby for a bit longer. Tiny cardigan. So that is a finished object. I've only just put the buttons on just before the podcast because I wanted to show the rainbow buttons on there. So I'm really proud of that, and I kind of don't really want to send it off because it's too cute, but I'm going to put it in the post. She's only 40 minutes down the road actually, but so I might see her before she has the baby, but we'll see. I might put it in the post. Oh, I might just drive it there. Next finished object. I've got loads of stuff. I've got loads of stuff around me, and I keep forgetting what I'm going to talk about next. But the next finished object that I want to show you is a sewing finished object, and this is for the little baby's big sister, Evie, my little niece. So I think in the last podcast episode, I showed you the fabric and told you I was going to sew a dress. And it's the Pumpkin Spice dress by Heidi and Finn. So again, I won't talk too much about the pattern because I already did that in the last episode. So I'll just show you the dress. But I'll put a link here so that you can check the pattern out if you want to. And it's done. Are you ready? It's so cute. Another really cute thing. I'm moving back because I think I need to move back to be able to show you it fully, but here it is. Yeah, my camera doesn't show it up that well really, does it? But oh my god, I love it. I love this dress. It's so cute. I want one for myself. Do you know what, actually? Watch this. Hang on, if I do that. Do you think it suits me? Yes, I think it suits me. It's quite clever actually, isn't it? It's a way of making a tiny dress fit you. Which it nearly does fit me. I love the colour. I don't know if I can... I can show you a bit more close up. So it's got a gathered waist. I've lined it. It's not that neat inside. Not that I don't care, it's just that it's the first time I've ever sewn with a really drapey fabric like this. I don't know what it is, it's like a rayon-y, viscosy type fabric, but why I love it is because it drapes so beautifully. And again, Anna will just be able to chuck this in the washing machine. And the lining is just something that was in a dress, it's like a purpley colour, that I had, one of my dresses that I shortened. It used to be a maxi dress, and I made it just like a above the knee dress. So, and I kept the lining from it, thinking I would like to use it one day, and it's come in really handy. So you can see it. I've just sewn it into kind of sewn it all into the inside of the dress. I don't know how to say that. I made the sleeve. The pattern doesn't have puffy, puffed sleeves, but I have actually made them a little bit puffy. I put a little bit of a gather just there because it's cute, and I thought it would give her a bit more room for movement as well. But mainly because it looks really cute. And then the buttons, it's got a little button placket on the back. So just from the sort of waistline upwards. And there's little flat shell buttons that you can get. I'll just put 3 on. You can't really see. One day I'm going to get a really good camera and you'll be able to see things better on the podcast. But there we are, that's the back of the dress. Cute. Can't wait to see her wearing it. I just can't wait to see her wearing it. I hope she likes it. She has seen it. Evie has actually seen this because I went for a cup of tea, spent a bit of time with Anna and Evie, and had a cup of tea and a bit of cake with them last week. And I had sewn most of the dress, but I hadn't put the finishings on or hemmed it. And she didn't try it on, I just held it up to her to see if it looked as if it was going to fit. And it does look as if it's going to fit, so fingers crossed it does. Fingers crossed she actually likes it. She might not like it, but she looked like she might like it, so it's definitely going to suit her. So that is my little finished object number 2 for this week. Is that all of my finished objects? No! Mittens. Bit of knitting. A bit more knitting. I already showed you some knitting. I'm just going to very quickly show you these because I've spent quite a bit of time again in my previous podcast talking about them. But I've got a finished pair of Woodland Tales mitts. Oh, oh get it right, Kate. Ta-da! I love these. I'm so pleased. I'm so proud that I've finished them. Actually, they're really quick to knit and they're really addictive. The stitch pattern's very addictive, I find. I'll put them on. So, and actually the weather's gone cooler, so I'm probably going to get to wear these a little bit this week when I'm walking Charlie. Perfect really, because the lace pattern means that they won't be too warm, but they'll just keep that chill off my hands, because it is a bit chilly here. And on my farm, not my farm, it's not ours, we just live on it. On the farm that we live on, you can walk, it's already quite high up above sea level, I think I probably said this before, but you can walk further up. It's quite a hilly farm, so I walk the dog up and down the cow tracks. And when you get to the top, it's very windy and very chilly. So these are going to come in really handy, probably for another couple of weeks, I imagine. I really love them. And I'm doing a purple pair, so I'm halfway through those. I'll probably show you those when they're done as well. And I'm joining in with the Pom Pom Cal on Ravelry, the Pom Pom Spring Cal, I think it's called. You know, Pom Pom Mag, they've got a spring cal knit along. So that's my project for that. So I need to photograph that actually as a finished pair and get back on there, because I haven't been on that for a few days. It's been a lot of fun to join in with. I've been talking to Nessa from Kiltcraft a little bit on there. I think she's one of the moderators, and I quite like her podcast. I really like her podcast actually, so that's been nice to see. It's nice when you see people that you see on podcasts or on a blog in a different place, and you start to recognise other knitters in different places where we all sort of tend to meet up. So that's quite nice. So that is my that's my finished objects. Reading off my list. Showed you my rug. Projects in the pipeline. Ah, yes, projects in the pipeline. Okay, so for the baby cardi that I just showed you, I'm going to do another one, and this cardigan will be for somebody else. I've got a friend called Sarah who is having a baby as well, and her baby is due in June, and I don't know if it's going to be a girl or a boy. I don't think Sarah knows either. So I've chosen some colours that would suit a girl or a boy, I think, I hope. I had this yarn already in my stash, and it's Drops Belle Unicolor. Is it linen? Where does it say? It's cotton, linen and viscose. So it's 53% cotton, 33 viscose and 14% linen. And again, pretty sure you can just throw this in the washing machine. Yeah, it's 30 degrees, but I think you could probably wash that at 40 as well. There's the label. Not very well focused, but anyway, they've got pretty labels. And here is the yarn. I'm going to do the main body in the grey. It's like a silvery grey, and I thought I'd do the band, like the button band and the border, what do you call it? The band that goes all the way around it in the yellow, like that. And that will suit a girl or a boy then. And one of the cutest things about this cardi is the buttons. I looked around on the internet for some really cute buttons, and I found the most brilliant and most appropriate buttons ever for Sarah's little baby, because she has got some of these on her farm. She lives on a farm as well. She's 5 minutes down the road from me, and they live on her husband's a farmer, and they live on a National Trust farm. And they've got 2 donkeys who just live on the farm. It's been tradition for years apparently that the farm has 2 donkeys, so I was going to tell you the names, but I've forgotten. I can remember the name of one, but I can't tell you that because I'll be leaving out the other one. Anyway, they've got 2 donkeys and they're really, really lovely. So I found these buttons with donkeys on them. Again, the camera's not brilliant. I hope you can get the gist. They are the cutest little buttons ever, and the donkeys have got little smiles on their faces. They're happy donkeys. So I hope she's going to like that. So the buttons will actually be on the yellow part. Whoops, can I show you it quite? Probably don't know how well that's coming across, but I can't show you it like that. The buttons are going to be on the yellow button band, so I think she'll like that. Hopefully she will. It's really cute. So that's something I'm going to start this week, maybe later on. And I think that I'll probably knit that quite quickly actually, because it's only small. And what's the other project in the pipeline? Oh yeah, well it's kind of a yarn acquisition really. I think the next thing I'm going to show you, this is kind of more like yarn acquisition, but all the yarn I've got to show you, I've got projects. I bought it specifically for projects. So to go with Evie's dress, she's having a cardigan, and I actually haven't decided on the pattern yet. I'm struggling to find a really cute pattern for a 4-year-old for a cardi. I don't know why. On Ravelry you'd think there'd be loads. There are loads, but I think I've got something really specific in mind. I kind of wanted a plainish cardi, button down the front obviously, with maybe a texture pattern on the front like little roses or little trees or something like that. So if anybody knows of a pattern like that, please let me know. If it's not on Ravelry, if there's a pattern like that somewhere else, I'd love to know. Just a plain little cardi that would fit a 4-year-old, that's got something pretty like flowers or trees or something down the front of it. That's what I'm looking for. And this is the yarn that it's going to be made in. Don't know if I can say it. Yeah, is it Jaeger? Do you say Jaeger? Matchmaker. Once again, I've chosen yarn that Anna can put in the washing machine. It might be 30 degrees wash this one, but it's machine washable anyway, and it's 100%, oh it's 40 degrees, that's good. Yeah, 40 degrees wash, and it's 100% wool, I believe. What does it say? Yeah, 100% merino wool, so I presume it's a superwash. I've got 4 balls. I don't know if I need 4. I just got 4 just in case, because I can always use the extra ball for something else. Maybe for a little cardi for her brother. So that's good. It's lovely and soft, and it's a really nice colour, and it's pretty much, this is coincidental, but it's pretty much the colour of the lining of her dress. Not that you see the lining of the dress, but it's going to go with the dress. So so that's the project pending, and then a little bit more of a yarn acquisition. I feel like I'm speeding through things this week, but there's a lot to say, I suppose. So with this yarn, the colour palette is, well, I'll tell you what it is first. It's Debbie Bliss, Rialto double knit print. Do you know, I've just read that backwards. Did I read it properly? Yeah. I think it's the Circus colourway. Again, it's extra fine merino wool superwash, and this is for the baby, the little baby boy. I'm going to pair it up with this. I think this is a Drops merino. This is out of my stash, and I know that you can wash that. And I'm going to do alternate stripes of the pale grey and a colour from here. So I'll kind of separate the yarn off into the colours. I saw one on not Pinterest, on Ravelry, the Puerperium cardigan. A lady had done it in the most beautiful colour palette. It was like a really lovely pale grey, alternated with the rainbow colours, the really bright, really lovely colours. But I looked up the yarn that she'd used, and I've never heard of it. I'm not sure if you could machine wash it, and I think it might be quite a rustic yarn, and I'm not sure if I wanted to knit something in a rustic yarn, because I'm not sure if Anna would put it on. I'm not sure if I would put it on the baby. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't want it to prickle the baby, and he might not be used to prickly things. So I've chosen the closest thing I could find was this. The colours aren't quite as vibrant and bright as I was looking for, but short of buying lots of full skeins of yarn, brightly coloured yarn, which would have cost an absolute fortune for a cardi that's going to fit a baby for what, 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. This seemed to be the best option. So I'm going to knit it up and I'm going to see how it looks. And I'm hoping that the colours become a bit more vibrant once they're teamed up with the pale grey. So anyway, it's a colourful cardigan. I think he'll like it. Don't you think? Can babies even see colour when they're first born? Do they just see in black and white? You might not even know. Maybe I should just do it black and white. Anyway, hopefully his mum will like it. So that is projects pending. Is that all of them? Ooh, no, I've got one more thing to show you. Very exciting. I ordered some yarn for myself from Loop Yarns in London. There was a little bit of a mishap with this yarn because I accidentally ordered the wrong colourway. I was supposed to order a colourway called Toast, and what I actually pressed was Attic Room. I don't know how I did it. I actually do not know how I did that, but that is what I did. And it arrived in the post, and at first I thought I needed to send it back and get the right colourway, and I contacted Loop and they very kindly said, yes, that's fine, you can send it back to us and just reorder the colourway that you wanted to. But I've had this for a few days over the weekend, and I've been trying it up against my sort of face and skin and seeing if it's, and really thinking, can I use this colour? Because I do like it, but it's just a bit of a surprise because it wasn't what I was expecting. Wasn't what I planned. But I really, really want to get started on this project. And the project I'm going to knit with it is the Andrea shawl. I haven't got a photo of the pattern to show you because I've printed it off, but my printer is rubbish and it's come out really small and kind of got really weird lines across the image. So there's no point in me showing you the picture of the pattern, but it's the Andrea shawl by... Oh, Andrea's Shawl by Kirsten Kapur on Ravelry. Can't remember if it was free. I think I paid for it. I'll tell you. I'll let you know here. But there's a lot of lovely versions of that, and the version that the pattern shows is a 2-colour. I think at least 2 colours, and so are a lot of the versions on Ravelry. But there are some just 1-colour versions, and I'm going to just do mine in 1 colour because I really liked one particular one that I'd seen. So after lots of searching, I've spent a couple of weeks on the internet looking at yarn and weighing it all up and thinking, what shall I make it out of? And eventually just decided to just order some yarn, and this is a bit of a luxury actually because I've been kind of dreaming about using this yarn for quite a long time. And it's the Uncommon thread, and it's the Blue Face Leicester Singles. This is a superwash actually. And I've got the colourway Attic Room, and I'll do my best to get the camera to show you. It's do you call this a tonal yarn? It's tonal, isn't it? Anyway, you can see it's got variations of the same colour running through it. So it's like, the colour I actually intended to order was paler, like a pale warm grey, and it was tonal. It was more like the lighter colour that's in this yarn was the darkest colour in the yarn that I was intending, if that makes any sense. Oh, sorry, I'm just making a mess of I'm making a mess of showing you this yarn. There's the label, the Uncommon thread. Try it again. Can I get the label off it? I haven't tried to get the label off it yet because I wasn't sure whether I was going to send it back, but I've decided to keep it and knit it in this. I've thought of a few things in my wardrobe that would go quite nicely with this. So I need to email Luke actually and tell them I'm keeping it. But yeah, it's very dark, but I think, yeah, yes, I think that does go. Yeah, it's going to look like a beard then. I'm not going to knit a beard with it. Yeah, so I'm going to have a nice shawl made out of that lovely variegated yarn. And I'm very excited to start that project. So I've just got to find the right needles for it, whether I've got some already existing or whether I need to buy some more needles. It'd be a nice excuse to buy some needles. I want to try the hires, but I wasn't really supposed to buy yarn, and so maybe I should not buy needles because of the cost, but never mind. You've got to have the right tools, haven't you? You've got to enjoy the project, and you've got to have the right tools really to get the most out of it as well. So maybe I will buy some new needles. I'll have a look into what size I need. It's not quite the yarn weight that the pattern suggests, but it's a finer yarn than the pattern suggests, but I'm going to probably stick with the needle size suggested for the yarn as opposed to what the pattern tells you, and just knit the largest size. But I'll do a gauge first and a few calculations and see what size shawl that's going to give me. I just want something that's going to go around my neck, basically, sort of to wear through the summer, maybe in the evenings. So it doesn't have to be really big, but it does have to go around my neck. So that's exciting. So hopefully by the next podcast I'll have cast that one on and I can show you a little bit of progress on that one. Yeah, so that's good. Right, what else? Yarn acquisitions I've showed you. Oh yeah, I'll just do a couple of podcast mentions. One of them's a new podcast, and I got the recommendation from Melody at Bee Mandarins, and she was talking about a podcast that she's just found, and I think this lady's just done one episode. She might have done two by the time this episode of my podcast comes out. And I can only tell you the name of the podcast because I've forgotten the lady's name, which is terrible. Sorry, but it's called The Gentle Knitter, and but I'll put the information here. I'll have a look after I've done this recording and put it there. And she's a really lovely lady. Is she in Canada? I think she might be in Canada. But the first podcast was lovely. She's got a really gentle voice and really lovely kind of background. It's quite minimalist and really soothing to watch. And she shares some really nice projects so far. So I'm looking forward to seeing the next podcast. It was a lovely one to watch while I was ironing all of these. I had the ironing board set out here in front of the iMac, which is there. And I just ironed my way through the Gentle Knitter podcast and the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast, which I think she's got quite a few episodes, but it's the first time I've ever watched it. I think that came up in my suggestions in my YouTube account. So I had a look at her first episode and I really liked it. So I'm going to start watching hers back to back till I get to the recent one. The most recent. I'm not sure how many she's done, but yeah, the Brooklyn Knitfolk, and that's a lady who is in New York. Oh, that's an air. Can you hear the aeroplane? We get a lot of aeroplanes going past here because is it? I don't think it is RAF Valley. Is it RAF Valley that's nearby? Anyway, the military practice, so we always get really fast, scary planes going past the window. There's another one. It's really loud. You might not be able to hear it. Yeah, so that's my two new podcast acquisitions or podcast finds. It's always nice to find a couple of new ones because I've got room for new podcasts. I have plenty of room for a few more podcasts to watch. So yeah, the Gentle Knitter and the Brooklyn Knitfolk. I'm enjoying. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. those two. I've got a favourite object from my house to show you. I thought I might do this. I might not do it every week, every podcast, or then again I might. We'll see how it goes, but I thought I'd share a favourite object of mine from around my house, and it might not necessarily be a handmade object, but it probably will be. Yeah, just to give you a little idea of some of the things that I like aside from knitting. And I bought these about a year and a half ago, I think, from Etsy, a shop on Etsy, and they're made by a lady called Valeriane LeBlond. Is it Valeriane? Valeriane. Don't know how to say her name. Put it here. Valeriane LeBlond. I think she's a French lady. This is her card. This isn't the thing I'm going to show you, but this came with it when I ordered what I'm going to show you. I got a little postcard, and she's an artist as well and a maker, so I think she does paint pictures of this style, and her theme is kind of Welsh cottages and Welsh folk, and there's the back of the postcard, which is really cute, and it says Cerdyn Post in Welsh, that is postcard. So that was nice to get that. That just sits on my dresser, and it was very handy that I still had it because it meant that I could remember the lady's name. And I had a look on her Etsy website to check if she is still present, and she is. So you can go over and see what else she's got on her Etsy shop. And I've just, as I'm talking, I've just realised before I show you this, that is also made by the same lady. That on my wall there. I might go and get that in a second because I bought them together. She's like a painter, illustrator and maker. But these sit on my bedroom windowsill with some other objects very similar, but these are a little group that came together, and they are, see if I can do it without dropping them, little wooden Welsh cottages. Oh, I love them so much. They're so cute. They're not stuck together. They're separate, which means you can play around and position them and do different things with them. And sometimes you can have that one next to that one, or you can do that. And I do move them around in different places. And when Evie comes, or our nieces and nephews, they tend to come. They love running around all the rooms and exploring in this house. And I noticed it was so cute last time Evie came. She'd moved one of the houses to somewhere that she thought was a better place, and I kept it there for ages because it was so cute that she'd done that. So I love little houses, little tiny houses. I've got more in a different style. I've got a ceramic one. I've got some others that my sister bought me that are wooden but a different make. But they're so simple, they're so really beautiful, and the fact that they are Welsh cottages, and they're made in Wales. She lives in Aberystwyth, which is West Wales. That's about an hour and a half away from where I am, so quite a nice first favourite object around my house to show you because it's Welsh. Shall I get that picture? I ordered this as well because I think I've already mentioned that I've been learning Welsh to speak in Welsh for a couple of years. A couple of years. You'd think I'd know more. I don't actually know that much well. I'm not very good at it, but I have been going to lessons for the past couple of years. And I bought this, and it's a really nice illustration of the Welsh alphabet, which is slightly different to the English alphabet. There are some letters in there that don't appear in the English alphabet, and vice versa. There's no K in the Welsh alphabet. There's no J, although there is a J on here because there technically is not a J in the Welsh alphabet, but there are some words with a J in it because sometimes words get incorporated, letters and sounds get incorporated in. Can't think what else off the top of my head. There's a few more letters that don't appear. I don't think there's an X in the Welsh alphabet. And they've also got some letters in the Welsh alphabet that we do not have, such as, well, a double F, which is a F sound, but in the English language we just use one F. What else have they got? Oh yeah, they've got the double L, which is a sound. Giving you a Welsh lesson here. Well, it leads on to something I'm going to do next as well, which is very brief but a bit very Welsh. But anyway, I thought that was really lovely. It's a children's illustration really, but because I was learning Welsh and when I bought this I'd only just started my lessons, I thought it was a lovely way for me to remember what new sounds I had to learn, and how to write them, and what the illustrations helped me to remember things as well. So that's really nice, and that's by the same lady, Valerie Ann the Blonde. So I think you can still get those. So just kind of one of the last things I'm going to do quickly is related to the Welsh language. When I first moved to Wales, I came from a town which is on the other side of the British Isles in England, on the coast, and growing up there and having never really had a holiday in Wales, I actually was not aware of the prevalence of the Welsh language. And I now live with a Welsh speaker, and that's his first language, and I remember when I met him he actually said something to me which I was astounded. He said that he didn't think his English was very good, which I couldn't believe because he's fluent. He's fluent in English and in Welsh. But when I'm with him and his family, the only reason English is spoken is for my benefit. It would not be being spoken if I wasn't there, so it would all be in Welsh. So that's one of the reasons I started learning it, because some of the smaller children in the family, the nieces and nephews that we've got, hadn't started picking up any English yet. So I really love kids, but I couldn't communicate with them very well. Not verbally anyway. Because we didn't know each other's languages. Turns out that they've actually learnt more English in the last year than I've learnt Welsh, and they just learn it off the telly. So that shows how good I am at languages. But anyway, we can meet in the middle a bit now. We can manage to muddle along. Well, actually, the older ones know, they're pretty much nearly fluent in English now. But that was something that surprised me when I first moved to Wales, to learn that there are some people in our village as well whose children don't really know very much English, because at home they speak Welsh and at school they speak Welsh, they're schooled in Welsh, and unless they've got one English speaking parent, or both English speaking parents, their language is Welsh at home. So it's a good thing to learn, because if I'm at the pub or with Avion's family, it's quite handy to try to get the gist of the conversation. I'm not that successful, but I can pick up little bits. But what I wanted to share with you was, and again, I might do this every podcast. We'll see. We'll see how interesting people find it. I'm sure lots of people know about the Welsh language already. I didn't. That's why I find this really interesting. And if there's anybody out there who has no idea that people speak the Welsh language and it's their first language here in North Wales and in certain parts of Wales, this might be interesting to you. Small interesting fact about the Welsh language. Again, there's no way I would have known this till I moved here. North Wales and South Wales have different dialects. So if you are going to learn to speak Welsh, you have to make sure you get onto a course that's either the North Wales dialect or the South Wales dialect, because if I were to go on a wrong course and start learning South Wales, Avion wouldn't really be able to understand me, that's really interesting as well. I'm going to share a Welsh word with you every week, and it's going to be a word that's related to textiles in some way, knitting, crochet, sewing, and I've picked the most appropriate word to start us off with, and it's the word for knitting, or to knit, the verb to knit. And I'm going to write it here as well, because it's quite a good word to start off with as well, because the letters, as they are spelt, would not appear, I don't think, in any word in English the way that they're pronounced in Welsh. So the Welsh word for knitting or to knit is gwei, and I I checked that with Evian before I did the podcast just to make sure that I'm saying it right. So there you go. If you want to say knitting in Welsh, it's gwei. There's your lesson, your Welsh lesson for the week. So I'll have to do some research and think of another Welsh word for next week and check and make sure that I'm getting it right as well. So I think that's probably it. I thought this was going to be a shorter podcast because I felt as if I hadn't got as much to talk about or share, but that has not been the case. It's been the same amount of time as my other two podcasts, so that's over an hour. I think that might be just what's going to happen for every podcast, actually. I'll just quickly show you, because I'm about to go. I'm about to say goodbye now and let you all go, but I've had a bit of time to do some gardening this week, and I've been looking at the seedlings. I've sowed these seedlings back in the autumn. I gathered up some seeds that had dropped on the floor at work. We've got hellebores, and the hellebores had dropped all of their seeds onto the ground, so I picked them all up, put them in an envelope, brought them home, and put them into some compost, and left them outside all winter. I didn't do anything special to them. I haven't even barely looked at them. I've barely looked at them, should I say. And lo and behold, we have a hellebore seedling. I hope it's a hellebore. Do you know what? I might have to Google it afterwards just to make sure this is a hellebore, not a weed, because I've done that before as well. I've put seeds in, nurtured them all through the winter, nurtured them halfway through spring, and then realised that it's just a weed. Not the intended plant, but this does look very much like something that I actually did mean to grow. So that's my hellebore seedling, and I think I've got about 4 out of all the seeds that I grew, which is great because I actually didn't think that any of them were going to grow, so that's exciting. It's nowhere near big enough to be planted in the garden. I'm going to have to look after this little seedling until it's a bit bigger, but I'm very proud of that. So yeah, it's my hellebore seedling. So I'll just have to take care of that now. I've planted it, I've potted it up into that plant pot to make sure I keep watering it. Yes, so I was going to tell you about a film, but I will do that next week because, yeah, the podcast has gone on for a while now. So thanks again to everybody who came over and said hello to me from the previous 2 podcasts. I hope you've come back to watch this one, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'll be back soon with podcast episode number 4, hopefully. Come and say hello on Ravelry. I am Lupin Bar on Ravelry, Lupin Bar on Instagram, and I'll put show notes to this podcast on the blog, which is www.lupinbar.co.uk, and people can come and say hello there if they want to as well. So okay, I think that's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you again soon. Bye.